Hello everyone, this is RJ Game News USA here, and today I want to do a movie review over a movie called Bugonia. So if you guys like movie reviews and this kind of content, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. We're going to jump right into it. First of all, let me say, this first part of the review is going to be mostly spoiler-free. I will tell you before we get into the heavy-hitting spoilers. So watch this part now, and then later, after you've seen the movie, or you don't mind being spoiled, we'll get deep into the spoilers. But for now, let's start with the light spoilers. Let's start with the title of the movie. First of all, very weird title, right? Bugonia. What the hell is that? Well, it's actually the belief that honeybees create from the carcass of a dead ox. It's Greek. It's a Greek word, for those of you that don't know. And I found the movie title choice to be really odd. It's not great for marketing purposes. I feel like this movie wasn't marketed great. It does star Emma Stone. Sorry. For a second I thought it was Emma Watson. I'm like, no. Emma Stone. It stars Emma Stone. Basically, she plays this character, Sarah Fuller. She's the CEO of a major company. Kind of one of these like bad boss chicks or whatever. And so I feel like this kind of movie could have got better marketing, better, more mainstream appeal. However, the general plot of the movie interested me, and basically the CEO gets kidnapped by two guys that are cousins. One of them's Teddy, one of them's Don. Teddy is a sort of conspiracy theorist who thinks he's got it all figured out, why the world is the way it is. He believes that Sarah is an alien. And Dawn happens to be like basically his retarded cousin, and he kind of goes along with it. You'll see quickly in the movie that he's very conspiracy driven. He's done stuff like chemically castrate himself and made his cousin do it too. But, some really bizarre behavior. He also has a sick mom that'll come into play later. So yeah, the plot I thought was a pretty interesting plot. It got me interested to go see this movie to begin with. And then, overall, I think this movie's an 8 out of 10. Just want to throw that score out there in case you don't hit the spoiler part of the review later. But character-wise, I thought everybody played their character well. Like, you really believe Teddy was a crazy conspiracy theorist. You really believe that Sarah is this badass CEO. You really believe Don's retarded as hell. And, I thought that given what was going on in this movie, they played their role really well. I do want to give out a few negative feedbacks first before I hit the positives. And there's a lot of positives here in an 8 out of 10 movie. But negative here is I feel like the movie went too long. It overstayed its welcome just a bit. It was a little too drawn out on the pacing, and I feel like a lot of scenes could have been cut down or combined, or, so often this movie felt like we were ending the movie and then we weren't ending the movie. Some of that played to its favor, some of it didn't. We also didn't get a lot of too much background on Teddy and Dawn. We got some, and they gave us just enough, but it felt like just enough. It's like, I want a little more background into this. You know what I mean? But alas, that's what we got. We didn't get enough scenes where Teddy was at his workplace or Teddy was living normal life. We only got just enough. You know what I mean? But anyway, moving on to the positives. This movie has some great music. I want to say, whenever a dramatic scene happened, that score really hit hard right afterwards, but it also knew when to be quiet and let the moment play out. Always love to praise the music in movies when it's good. I want to say the scenery was great. It looked pretty down to earth, no pun intended. The obsession that Teddy had with bees, I felt was actually interesting and an integral part of the movie. And they had some really good shots of nature. And there was also some really good shots at the end of the movie that was kind of eye-opening. You know, there was some really good special effects in here, although it really felt old school in the sense that a lot of things felt like it was practical and less CGI, which I appreciated. I really appreciate when we go more practical and we go less CGI. It really gave this movie almost slightly a 90s flair. I want to say, like, everything from the wardrobe, the outfits, especially of certain people at the end of the movie, felt like it was straight out of Outer Limits 1995. And so I really appreciated that as well. So the overall stuff around the movie's good. But what actually occurred in the movie, I thought was pretty good as well. The actual plot, how they went from one scene to another, how it transitioned. It was a very easy to follow story. But what really is the crux of this movie, what really brings it together is, most of the way through the movie, you believe she's not an alien. And they go back and forth multiple times, making the viewer think she is, she isn't, is she? You know what I mean? I'm sure some people will watch this movie and claim, I knew she wasn't an alien the whole time. Some will watch this movie and claim, I knew she was an alien the whole time. And some will go in this movie saying, like I did, I was ping-ponged and followed the narrative. I didn't think she was, I thought she was. She wasn't, I thought she was. And so that really held the movie together really well and kept me on my toes because I didn't know what way they were going to take it. It wasn't a predictable ending. It was essentially one of two paths. It was essentially going to be a twist upon a twist upon a twist upon a twist. Eventually you end up at the true ending. Now, luckily, another positive here, we got a true ending. They didn't fence it. They weren't ambiguous about it. They didn't leave it up to the choice of the viewer. We got a definitive ending one way or another. So I can't recommend this movie enough. Now that being said, guys, that's the spoiler-free stuff as much as I could be spoiler-free. Now we're about to enter the spoiler zone. So if you haven't already seen this movie and you want to consider seeing it, hit a like button and click the video off now and leave your thoughts in the comments below because we're about to start the spoilers. So, let's jump into the spoilers. So, obviously she's kidnapped by Teddy and Dawn. You know, they rub cream all over her. They shave her head. The whole time she remained rather calm for a woman who was just kidnapped. I thought the scene where she first got kidnapped was really funny, actually. A little bit of comedy in there. Especially when she was kicking him and got away and ran away. But then the needle's in her leg and she realizes it and she falls down and passes out. I thought that was actually sort of funny. For most of the movie, though, it wasn't really funny. Most of the movie was serious. But that scene I thought was a little bit of light humor in there. A little bit of slapstick comedy, if you will. Anyway, she's in the basement. You know, they're monitoring her. You have this weird sheriff dude who is acting really, like, bizarre with Teddy. He's acting like, when he sees him, he's, like, apologizing for something he did when he was a kid. He used to be his babysitter. I think the inference there is that he must have raped him or something. But oddly enough, Teddy never seems to be pissed about it. Now, he does end up killing the sheriff, but only when he thinks he's going to be found out. They're out by the beekeeper area, and Teddy just whacks him over the head with a shovel and kills him once he hears a gunshot. Dawn ends up turning the gun on himself, which actually surprised me. It really shocked me. I didn't expect that at all. I thought he was going to let her go. I thought he was going to let Michelle go, but instead he turned the gun on himself. And the blood effects here, when his head just exploded like a watermelon on her, was some really good-looking blood effects that I really like seeing in movies. Again, if you're looking for a scary movie, this isn't a scary movie. This is more of a normal thriller type movie. You know what I mean? It's not really like any jump scares or anything super scary like that. But, you know, for the longest time in this movie, I thought, look, Michelle's not an alien. This is just some crazy conspiracy about aliens are masters and, you know, that are trying to make us be a certain way and whatever. This guy's nuts, right? I thought the premise of the movie is going to be, oh, look, white male, weird-ass conspiracy theorist. Let's poke fun at that. And if it had been, it wouldn't necessarily have been the worst story in the world, although we've seen it told before. But there was no element of anything sci-fi happening throughout most of the movie, because they really set it up as that's what it's going to be. However, we took twists and we took turns, and the moment where I first thought, wow, she's actually an alien, was when they turned the voltage up on her. 400 volts and she didn't die. Okay, really bizarre. Really, really bizarre that she didn't die off that. And that right there should have been a tell. Of course, you could have said faulty wiring or something was wrong with how he was reading the charts, whatever. That was when I first thought, oh shit, she could be an alien. Then I quickly brought it back to reality and was like, no, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's not. And then she brings up, oh, she's the 75th emperor and blah, 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 and you need to use this antifreeze to fix your mother. And I was like, oh, okay, so she's actually not an alien. She's convincing this dude to go kill her mom so she can escape. So that's when I went from, oh, alien to not an alien officially. Then he comes back and she gives this weird look. She talks about how she found his secret room, talks about how, oh, you killed 2 Andromedas or whatever. And that made me think, oh crap, she's actually the alien. But then I go back to, no, she's not, because she escorts Teddy to her company. Puts him in the closet, and I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be a teleportation to the mothership or whatever. No, I figure, oh, she's putting him in the closet and she's backing up and getting ready to run away because she wants to escape. And that's what they really made you think. The closet blows up, his head goes flying, practical effects and all, hits her in the head, she's in the hospital. You figure, all right, we're wrapping the movie up. We are wrapping the movie up. Okay? Now, at this point, this is where I finally, for good, understood, and this is the big spoiler of the movie, so again, if you haven't seen it, watch it first, 'cause I'm about to tell you this. When she escapes the ambulance, that's when I knew, oh fuck, she is an alien, because why would you do that? When your kidnapper is dead. She's running back to the office to teleport. You know, at this point, there was someone in the theater I was at that actually got up and walked out. They were probably pissed about the bait and switch that took place 2 or 3 times. I loved it. I loved the fact that I didn't know what was real. I didn't know if she was or not. Was she? Was she not? Was she not? You know what I mean? But anyway, she gets beamed up into the ship, and she decides the experiment's over. You clearly see there's a flat Earth diorama on the table with, like, the ice ring around a flat Earth. If you guys don't know what the flat Earth conspiracy is, which is kind of funny. You know, that they said this is all true. And then, yeah, she ends it. And then the closing scene is just a bunch of people dead. Like, just a bunch of humans just dead wherever they lay. There's even one where someone's having sex and they're laying on top of them. There's bars, there's boats, there's beaches, just humans laying dead all over the place. Clearly, this movie's message is humans are bad. Clearly, this movie's message is the globalists are right. You know, that's sort of what they're trying to do here. In an odd way, in a weird way, the actual globalists that run the world are really just pushing home this message over and over again in this way, which is, it's fucking hilarious. They're telling themselves out loud. Not to sound like a conspiracy theorist myself or anything. But anyway, I enjoyed this movie. You know, I like movies that don't always have a happy ending. Sometimes when they do a sad ending or they do something dramatic or they subvert your expectations, that's the kind of stuff I like sometimes. A lot of times, actually, if I can. So I highly recommend this movie. Maybe you think it's corny. Maybe you'll think it's cheesy, though. Maybe you think, oh, I was sold a bill of goods. I thought it was going to be this way, and it turned out to be this way. Again, I like surprises in my movies. I like to not just go in, know what this movie's about, and walk out feeling the same way I did walking in. I like having a little shock, a little bit of awe, a little bit of surprise in my life. And I think you would too if you go check this movie out. Can't recommend it enough. Will it make my top 10 movies at the end of the year? Probably not. But it is a solid 8. And it goes along with a whole string of 8s, at least, that I've seen at movie theaters lately. 8 has been a super common score this year. And that's what I give this movie overall. So, you guys, what do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think of this movie? Let me know. Anyway, this is RJ signing out. Have a good one.